Hi, my name is Bill KEEFER. I'm a baby boomer, born in 1946. I was with the United States Air Force Strategic Air Command, Sergeant, 1964 through 1968. With the Cold War and all, I was a United States Marshal in Los Angeles and founder of the Fraternal Order of Law Enforcement. And I don't believe I'm a fruitcake or a nutcake, so I want to talk about regarding UFOs. They do exist, and even President Carter and astronauts have seen them. President Carter and Clinton tried to get information on UFOs, and even they could not penetrate the government secret curtain. President Eisenhower warned of the industrial military conspiracy back in the 1950s. 1950s and the event of the transistor radio and polio vaccine, and I was there. I saw iron lungs, and I said, "What's that?" And those things are gone. You don't see iron lungs anymore because we got a little smarter. And then we've got today the mobile apps, Android phones, and more. We've come a long way, baby. We on Earth are newcomers to space, traveled back to Sputnik. I remember Sputnik, I was in grade school. And now we have no space program of our own today, so go figure. One clear message is the UFOs have been around for thousands of years, and since 1947 with our atom bomb blast, have got the attention of beings who have been traveling space for thousands of years, witnessed by Egyptians and Mayans, and leaving a mark on planet Earth with those pyramids and temples in both those locations, and more. The crust of the issue is, if they wanted to enslave us, we would have been enslaved a long time ago. Helping mankind to understand to stop nuclear war activity, get rid of the bombs, and stop killing ourselves, and definitely do not bring your nuclear weapons and war machine into outer space. This series is to make you think real clear. Look into the stars at night and know we are the newbies on the block, and there are beings out there far smarter than you and I. We have been killing one another since Abel and Cain, and that's a fact. And another fact is we've never stopped. These beings from outer space are here to help us save ourselves from ourselves. Simple as that. I'm Bill KEEFER. Until next time.
Great British astronomer Edmund Halley of comet fame also saw a series of unexplained aerial objects in March of 1760. One of them lit up the sky for more than 2 hours and was so brilliant that Halley could read a printed text by its light. There were sightings in 1897 of a lighter-than-air ship that had propellers, porthole windows, and brilliant searchlights which it directed at the ground. In 1917, what may have been the largest crowd ever to witness a UFO occurred in Fatima, Portugal. 50,000 people watched in amazement as a huge silver disc began spinning like a windmill and dancing about in the sky. After plunging toward the earth, it climbed back into the sky and disappeared into the sun. One night during the summer of 1948, Clyde W. Tombaugh, the astronomer who discovered the planet Pluto, was sitting in the back of his home at Las Cruces, New Mexico. He and several witnesses, including other members of his family, watched a strange glowing craft move overhead. All of the witnesses agreed that the object was definitely a solid ship and that it was probably some form of extraterrestrial device. World War II Allied Air Force pilots reported UFO sightings over Germany. They appeared out of nowhere and seemed to be toying with the aircraft. Military pilots termed them Foo Fighters, Foo being the French word for fire. Retired Air Force Major Paul Deutsch describes an encounter with his crew over Japan.
The particular one that my crew saw was an orange-red color, and it paced our aircraft for miles and miles off the left horizontal stabilizer. We don't know how far off. It's very difficult to determine, and so the top gunner who had control of all the guns in the back of this B-29 bomber fired a burst. The tracers were seen to go directly toward it, but nothing happened. That's at that time that I saw it. We thought it was a Japanese secret device, probably developed by the Germans. And I might add that the fellows over in the European theater thought it was a German device, and the Germans thought it was an Allied secret weapon, and everybody thought it was somebody else's. No one knew what it was.
But why all of this special attention to the search of intelligent life beyond Earth? Some would argue that it is the byproduct of what has become known as the modern flying saucer era, which began on June 24th, 1947. Kenneth Arnold, a 32-year-old Boise, Idaho businessman, was flying his single-engine plane over the Cascade Mountains of Washington. Arnold tells his story.
I had reached the altitude of about 9,200 feet when a very brilliant flash lit the sky around me and actually lit up the airplane that I was flying. And I could see way off to the right, coming in the vicinity of Mount Baker, a whole chain-like string of of aircraft coming at a tremendous speed. I could see plainly that they didn't have any tails. I had never seen aircraft of that kind, and I made a quick judgment that they must be approximately 100 foot in their wingspan. And the first unit, or first craft, flew at a higher altitude than the last. And of course, this is completely reversed from our normal flight patterns. I had a good fix with Mount Adams, and I thought I'd try to clock their speed between Mount Rainier and Mount Adams.
Arnold estimated the speed of the craft at an astounding 1,700 miles per hour, nearly 3 times faster than any jet he had ever heard of. He was asked by a reporter to describe the mysterious objects.
You know, they would skip and sail and give off these flashes, and you take a saucer and you skip it across the water, and it's erratic, and this is how the name Flying Saucer was born.
This was the day, June 24th, 1947, that marked the beginning of what is known as the modern flying saucer era. What followed would be thousands upon thousands of unidentified flying objects over North America as well as other parts of the world.
It seemed to hover for a matter of maybe 1 or 2 seconds, and then was out of sight within 2 or 3 seconds, which was a lot faster than it had been traveling originally.
We were using our red lights and our aircraft landing lights, which is a spotlight, and pointing them or directing them at the UFO. And it was reacting to it audibly on occasion, and it did make a movement towards the light. As we turned the light off, then it would return to its original position and remain stationary again, but it was reactive to the lights.
I judged it to be at least 150 feet across it. It was saucer shaped with a high dome. It was very shiny underneath. It was a porcelain type finish. And I was getting a tremendous shock all over my whole body. My hair was standing up, and I had electrical static feeling over my hair on my arms and my head. I thought it was doomsday.
He would stand at the doorway screaming at me to get up. We got to get out of here. It's going to get us. And I looked out there, and it was pitch black when I first looked. And by now, he's got a hold of me, and he's shaking me, and he's screaming at me, which Bill doesn't scream. I mean, he's just hysterical is the way I can explain the way he was. And he keeps telling me we've got to get the kids out of here. It's going to get us. And I didn't see anything. So I looked again, and all of a sudden, I saw this like a real bright light. And I still didn't know what I was looking at. I didn't know what was scaring him. But after looking at the way he was and looking at what I saw, I knew I better listen to him. So I went down the hallway and grabbed my daughter. And I came back to the hallway and went out the front door, and he had grabbed our son by then.
When he came back up the second time, I felt like death was at hand. I think this was it. And as soon as it touched down, then the whole area just lit up.
You couldn't see anything inside, but you could see the outline of the whole object. It was going through the sky. Not really, it didn't seem to be going really fast. After a while, it just started straight up in the air.